Hello, everybody. I am Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching True Blood.
What?
Season 1, Episode 1.
Strange Love.
Strange Love. Oh, man. This is fun.
I am so pumped. So, okay, we did a poll a little while ago, and Gossip Girl won.
We were going to revisit the first season.
Of something.
Mm-hmm.
And so Gossip Girl won by like a small margin, and True Blood was number 2. So we're going to eventually do all of them if you voted.
Most likely.
Lost and Desperate Housewives will also get their day. But we are doing them in order currently, and it's True Blood time.
So I have a question, and it's pretty futile because we're recording most of this weekend, and this is going to be airing for like another couple weeks, so the answers won't come. But when we do these revisits, do people want us? Do we want spoilers? Do we want to talk about things that come? Do you want us to like? Because we kind of do a case-by-case basis where we just sort of, we in a general sense, we try not to like hard spoil things unless it's particularly pertinent to the point we're making.
I think we shouldn't spoil like the season-long arc of this season, like that kind of stuff. Okay.
But like future season stuff. Jason's wearing a hat in this episode.
Yeah, okay, that's one of the spoilers. That's one of the spoiler pieces of trivia on this episode
because
too.
I bought this when this came out. I bought the season on DVD and watched episode 1 with the commentary. And Alan Ball was like, "You'll notice," and I was like,
"What the fuck?"
Because it was a plot point that doesn't come out until season 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say it,
but it also weirdly kind of spoiled a thing for the show in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But if you do know, you'll know what we're talking about, I think.
Yeah. That's sort of how Trevor and I handle it when we're talking about Buffy spoilers. We're like, so when it's like all blank and no blank.
Like makes blank a blank.
And so it's sort of like if you already know, then you'll get it. If you don't already know, it's confusing enough that you don't. It doesn't spoil.
It's just this episode of TV is 13 and a half years old.
Sure. Yeah.
Man, it doesn't feel that.
No, because we actually discovered or like realized while we were watching it, I moved down here in 2008. This is the first TV show that, because we've known each other for longer than that, but this is the first TV show that we watched together.
Well, like we watched like season 1 of Ugly Betty together, but not while it was airing.
Live,
yeah, not live. And
that's what I mean, is like this was our first like appointment TV together. So that also is super fun for me.
And I don't know if you're new to our channel with this, but we do sort of, we talk about the thing, but we also talk about our relationship with the thing and to the thing. Because in 2008, we were what, 22?
22, 23, yeah.
And so this is interesting to revisit at 35.
36.
It's interesting the things that feel the same, the things that feel different.
Yeah.
As
you were 23, I was almost 23.
As is frequently the case. This is such an old show that I remember watching it with our friend Rhiannon, and we asked her to pick up wine on her way over, and she couldn't because she was 20. If that tells you.
I should have opened a bottle of red so that we can have it while we were talking.
When we come back.
When we come back for episode 2, we will.
But
there's no way in hell I'm drinking this because
we've talked about it
so long ago. It's in our office tour if you want to know some of the stuff we have on our shelves.
So, as is often the case with shows that are 14 years old, there are elements of this episode and this show that haven't aged wonderfully.
Sam.
The Louisiana of it all is a little bit, it goes down a little smoother when you're dealing with
especially sort of backwoodsy Louisiana.
So I think we'll just dive right in.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned Sam. That I don't remember being as creepy when we were younger.
Oh,
in the way especially for, so Sam was always kind of my guy. Not so much the character, but if you line up the dudes in this show, I'm probably going for him.
All Vampire Eric all the time for me. We haven't met him yet, but it is Vampire Eric, especially after he gets his haircut. So season 2 and on, Vampire Eric is it for me.
Yeah, I'm really, 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 really into that. But I think I think it's Sam Trammell for me.
Wow, yeah, can't relate.
I want to know.
He's fine. He's fine.
I don't know. Well, they say the secret to a successful friendship is same taste in alcohol, different taste in men.
Yeah.
So, I mean, by no means am I. And part of it is like, because it's like, of course, I'm fucking Alexander Skarsgård. But I think that the guy I keep going back to is. But regardless,
I'll tell you what it's not, though, for both of us. Is Bill. It's not Bill for both of us.
So, at this specific moment?
Sure, yeah, it's fine. But
yeah.
also, at one point in this episode, Sookie says, no, he had great hair. And I'm like, did he? Did he?
We're also, that's another aspect, because we're watching this in HD.
We are.
And we still had like a boob tube TV when we were watching the first season. And so his hair is, it's intentional. It's very intentional.
It's almost like Vampire by way of the Black Parade.
Yeah, it's a little. So my issue with Bill is that this is also kind of why I'm going for Sam Trample, but I like men with a chest of hair, and as we see from Bill, that is a factor.
Yeah,
it's very much a factor. Yeah. when Sam, we're assuming that you've watched this or no?
Yeah. Like,
or are we setting up? Are we establishing the show?
Okay, but yeah, we can do like a quick 2-minute thing. Basically, vampires are real and they have come out of the coffin and they are just like around in the world. And there is this stuff called True Blood, which is synthetic. And
it's like Japanese engineered, and it allowed them to come out. And we have the AVN. I forget that like the first person we meet, I mean, other than those Flanagan. 2 day players, is Nan motherfucking Flanagan. Yep. My bitch from moment one, Jessica Tuck. I love Nan Flanagan, and she is a presence on the show. She's not an omnipresence, but
not all the time, but she is.
She gets like some stuff, because I remember there was this is also back in the days of prime peak Facebook. But they did like a photo shoot with all the vampires, and I tagged us in it because I tagged myself as Nan.
Yeah, I love my bitch. We don't have her yet either.
No.
It takes a minute to get to Fantasia.
It takes place in a fictional town of Louisiana called Bon Temps, which means good times. It's by Shreveport. I know that much.
It's like an hour from outside. Yeah.
And we have Sookie Stackhouse, who is our lead. And she is a young, naive, good girl, Christian, good Southern belle. She's like a waitress. We meet her friends and family, and it's this town, yada yada. She can hear people's thoughts. Yeah. And you would think that's the step too far, but it's weirdly the point that really snags you.
For me, it's honestly the point that grounds the show
kind of
into something human, because it's even like, to go back to Sam, it's even like Sam seems so nice and he's protective of her and he likes her and he's her boss, and you know, he seems like a good boss and a good man and everything, but it's like she hears him thinking these sort of horrible things. Not horrible.
No,
it's sexually aggressive things about her, and it's just sort of like, oh.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah. I just remember that being, because you're right, it does ground the show, because it does give us a clear perspective. It gives us a clear hero who we are in line with, because there's a question from moment one whether any of this is trustworthy.
Yeah.
We have like a triple fake out vampires
at the beginning,
because we think it's the kids.
Yeah.
Then we think it's the goth, like, checkout clerk, and then it ends up being like the redneck, which is unexpected. And also, it really sets the tone with the "I'll fuck ya and then I'll eat ya."
Yeah, it's good.
This was really at a time where television and media was changing, and this is pre Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
I would say it's not
just by a couple years, but
yeah, it's not the first, because I think especially HBO dabbled in it with like Rome and a handful of things. But I think it was one of the first real big mainstream kind of crossover hits that dealt with the sex position.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
It really, it trades in the gratuitousness of it all.
Yeah.
And kind of like, because it's trashy, but it is elevated.
It's elevated at right now. It turns into like a soap opera in a way that is like a little frustrating.
That is another thing I do kind of want to clearly establish, is that as far as we're concerned, season 1 is the only properly good season. We enjoy the show for several seasons afterwards, but in our opinion, the show jumps the shark episode 1 of season 2. Like there is a moment that they don't ever come back from. That's not to say that there's not amazing work thereafter, because there's
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Goddamnit Bill Compton.
There's amazing work that comes after from characters, because it's like the 3 of the best characters in the show, Eric, Pam, Jessica, aren't really in it until season 2. Yeah. So there's absolutely good stuff coming, but there's sort of, I think the show has 3 lives. There's this first perfect season. Yeah. Then it's like seasons 2 through like 5. Yeah. And then I think 6 and 7, as I recall, were kind of like,
Well, I think I liked 6 more than 5, but I can't really remember. It's hard to remember, but it is very like the first season of Lost in that way, where it's like you made a perfect season of television and then what happened?
Because the part that I responded to the most is I actually fucking love Sookie Stackhouse.
Yeah, she's great.
I love that she's bright-eyed and naive, but she's also tough and a little no nonsense.
Yeah.
And but she's also kind of judgmental. The thrum of judgment
in the whole thing.
It's not even a thrum. It's like a deafening.
Because what's interesting is that she's judgmental about other people being judgmental, but everybody else is so judgmental that she comes off as the most judgmental. But the thing, I want to go back to what you said. The thing that's interesting to me about the mind reading especially is that what it does for the show is it grounds the relationship between Bill and Sookie in a place of reality, because the reason she's so drawn to him is because she can't hear him. And when she's with him and when she's touching him, she can't hear anyone else either. And that's very seductive.
And it's definitely, it's not the only reason, because Anna Paquin and Stephen Moyer have dynamite chemistry, so much so that they are still married. Yeah. They get married and are still married. So there is that sort of immediate initial, and his old-fashionedness really suits her.
He does some actually really excellent face work in this episode that I don't think I noticed the first go around, because I didn't really know who he was.
We end up not liking Bill as the show goes on, but we liked Bill in this.
Bill. I am also a hard sucker for vampires. It's all I want in the world.
That's also another factor, is this was, I'll even go as far as to say, pre the vampire craze. It's right as the vampire craze was hitting.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
it hit Twilight, at the right moment.
Twilight was also
and the
2000.
Diaries.
Twilight was like 2012.
No.
2008. You're right. Vampire Diaries was 2009.
2009. Yeah. So it was like right there. And I would argue, I mean, the Twilight is obviously the least of the 3 execution wise. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're all really great, and they all have their own place, because the Vampire Diaries also falls apart after a couple of seasons.
But to Bill and Sookie, it's like they have the innate chemistry, they have that sort of like organic meet cute, but then we're given a plot reason with the whole her being able to hear people and him, the effect that he has on her. And there are elements to the show that are yet to come. And I even said when we were watching this, where I was like, I forget how heavy they hit it in the first episode, because 3 times he asks her what she is. And Anna Paquin lands beautifully, I'm a waitress, every single time.
Because Bill's not the only one that asks her either. Vampire Eric ends up asking her. I want to say Evan Rachel Wood ends up asking her. Pam asks her a couple of times. And every single time she's just like, I'm a waitress. What the fuck do you want from me?
It's certainly, I'm something. There's something about Sookie and about what Anna Paquin brings to it that to use the term elevated again, she just really elevates what could be wet blanket character. I don't know. She brings something to it.
She is an Oscar winner.
Well, and I think it's the fact that Sookie is a little bit a pain in the ass. It's like that she's not just bright-eyed. That there are things.
sharpness underneath her.
And she doesn't make nothing but mistakes, but she doesn't.
She makes a lot of mistakes.
You know what I mean? Like there's sort of a juggle. And then the characters that are populated in this world that are around her, in particularly with connections to her, be it Sam, be it Tara, be it Gran, be it Jason.
Yeah.
This is an introduction to Jason. Boy, howdy.
I mean, it's the correct introduction.
Sure.
He is a fucking idiot. You want to talk about nothing but mistakes.
Because we're introduced to Maudette Pickens first, and then we pan down to him, and he's, I don't know, I remember liking Jason. I remember thinking I was supposed to.
Well, I remember thinking Ryan Quanten is hot as balls.
Yeah, but it's I don't know. And the show really does sort of really sells the intrigue because he's intrigued by the vampires, but much like, because it's a huge metaphor analogy for any kind of ism, racism, homophobia, sexism, yada yada, others, any type of othering. And the like fine line between intrigue and like disdain or disgust is so fine. It's so there and so fine, and it's in his performance when meeting him. It's like you really sort of get a sense of where you stand with every single character when we meet them.
Yeah. I get that for sure.
And because even like a character like Gran, I love Gran so much. She's so interesting.
Is Lois Smith. She's amazing.
But I just love that in a world populated with sort of like Southern conservative takes, that Gran is this very open-minded, also naive, also sweet, also a little bit sheltered, but to be in this reality and to have made it as far into life as she has and still see such wonder or still have such optimism.
Just like when they're talking about the like vampire hookers and stuff, and she just is like, my stars.
But it's like she's like properly like
intrigued by it,
but like she's properly like, oh well, I never. But it's like it's not in this like,
it's not a gross way.
It's not searing.
Yeah, I think you can see on Lois Smith's face that she's like, interesting.
The real cast of characters, because we have the bar.
Yeah,
I don't think I realized or appreciated how fucking hot Lynn Collins is.
No, baby, you don't know what you're missing. You can watch her walk away, make you want to slap it. Oh, you want to slap it?
Holy shit.
As Dawn.
I think she always threw me because I was like, why isn't this Evangeline Lilly? Which in this day and age,
woof.
Let's just put Lynn Collins in the wasp suit and call it a day. I don't think anyone would notice.
Sure.
But
in fairness, I don't know if Lynn Collins is problematic either. So, I mean, who knows? We're really bad at 1,000 over here.
There's the scene with Sookie and Arlene and Dawn and Lafayette where they're talking sex. They're having that little sex talk. And it's a very standard, not quite cliche, but not too far from cliche.
They apparently improv'd it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
About him being gay and what not everyone wants to sleep with you. And also, I don't know. It's really, really good. And Dawn, especially Lynn Collins in that scene, actually, I took a lot from her. We get the introduction to Arlene. However, her best is way yet to come.
Yeah.
And fun trivia, she's wearing one of Gwyneth Paltrow's wigs from Iron Man.
Oh, shit.
When they were screen testing how red her hair was going to be.
Interesting.
It's
and
one
this was too red.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, okay.
It's one of the ones. And so they ended up like several of her wigs, like it's like labeled.
Yeah.
She's like, so I'm wearing Pepper Potts wigs.
It's a good one.
I guess we have Tara.
I like Rutina Wesley and I like Tara in theory.
I like Sookie's friend Tara, and I like the concept of Tara.
I don't know. It's too much in a way that is very frustrating for the character because you kind of wonder, you're like, how is Sookie friends with this person?
Well, and I'm gonna be delicate here because I like these people, and it's not that I think Rutina's bad.
No.
because there's a handful of times where she gets, like, when she reacts to Sookie reading her mind.
Yes.
Tara, Jason is never going to care about you the way you care about him. What the fuck? You made a promise. You stay out of my head.
It's just such a good performance.
They should have given her a lot more comedy, and in my opinion, we didn't need to focus so much on her tragic backstory, which we do, not in this episode, but we get to a tragic backstory for Tara, and I don't know, it was like that, and then the thing that you just said, and then also when she's, like, reading the guy at the bar, and she's like, yeah, I don't know if my mom was, like, mean or stupid to name me after a plantation, and it's like, that's funny. I want her to have more stuff like that.
But it's like, even her opening scene, we're introduced to this character so strongly because other than being like a little bit obnoxious, like a Karen, her response is so not
unwarranted.
Yeah. And so it's just really hard to be rooting for her.
Yeah.
I just would have rather if we were on her side telling that woman off, or it comes out way too strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the writing. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is. Cause on the exact opposite, we have Nelson Ellis's Lafayette, who is so subtle in a way that it's not expected and not required. Like when he's hitting on that like heavy guy at the bar, it is so funny.
So funny.
It's unexpected and it's kind of believable.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
because for
fat dude, you in danger, girl. Like,
because for me, Lafayette is just like open for business.
And that performance from that guy, whoever he is, the instinct to set him there just to spectate their conversation.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Look at you. Scaring that white boy.
Ain't nobody scaring him. He too big to be scared. I likes a big man. Look at that belly.
Because he gets like 5 different like reactions where he's like offended, and then he's surprised, and then he's intrigued, and then he's scared, and it's like it's a very weird, very bizarre scene in a show that has a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching this episode and being like starving for the next one.
Yeah.
I was like, more. I need more.
Well,
and
I remember not clocking Hoyt Fortenberry until like the 10th episode.
Like being interested in him?
No, just like not registering that he was one person.
Oh,
I just was like, look, another tall redneck.
Another yokel.
But like, so that's sort of helpful for me now rewatching it because I know who all these people are now. And I'm like, oh, look, it's Hoyt. Oh, look, it's Renee. Oh, look, it's Annie Belfleur. And so like, that's very helpful for me too.
Because there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of themes. There's a lot of mythos. Because that's another thing I was going to say with Tara is because I also feel like they use her as as a character. They use her as an exposition dump. And it's like, we were talking while we were watching it. And one of them, she delivers really well.
Yeah.
And then almost immediately after that, it's like a brick that falls out of her mouth.
It's that exact thing that we talk about all the time where she's talking to Jason and she's like, hello, Jason, you remember me, Tara, your sister's best friend since we were in kindergarten? And it's like, woof.
Hi, Jason.
Hey.
My name is Tara. I've been your sister's best friend since kindergarten. I used to sleep over at your house for like years.
I know who you are.
But it's like, I mean, I think the writers put way too much on her plate.
Yeah.
Almost immediately.
So
and it's
soon.
like, we're introducing so many things. Because there's also so much mythos because we have the vampire mythology. And then on top of that, there's what is real and what is not, because we have the element that vampires are allergic to silver in this reality. And traditionally that's more of a werewolf thing. And Bill's like, we like to keep our weaknesses secret. And as I recall, we get into more of that as the show goes, but it's all handled with few exceptions. It's all handled pretty well. Like there's a give and take.
It's because like Sookie is new to this. So everything that Bill tells her is something she needs to know so that we also need to know it. And it's not like something we know and that he's just telling Sookie. We don't have like a crawl at the beginning. That's
but also though we're getting exposition from multiple people and it's not just one character. It's not like it's not like giving Sookie all of the exposition.
Right. Yeah.
Because we're getting it from Nan on the TV, the guy at the gas station. everyone at the bar at Merlotte's, you know what I mean? It really kind of comes, and then Eric or Bill too. Sookie.
Yeah, and I think having her hear the thoughts too helps with the exposition, because it's like if she's just skimming the top of people's thoughts and getting information that
it's a real storytelling cheat that at least not that I recall ever feels like a cheat.
It works out in this at least.
Because she can also kind of turn it off sometimes. And
if she really tries, yeah.
It has one of my favorite tropes when you're dealing with something quasi-supernatural is I love when the people around the person know, but just kind of let it...
Just don't talk about it.
Be, yeah. And it's very clear from like 3 or 4 of them, like... We get it from Jason. We get it from Tara. We get it from
Dawn.
From Dawn, who is they're presumably friends, but she's not in her circle.
Yeah.
And they sort of acknowledge it in a sheepish way. Well, Jason's flat angry. He's like,
"You don't do that. I'm your brother." And then Tara also is like, "You promised you wouldn't do that." And so it's like,
because Dawn's is very like, I mean,
we just thought you knew.
I know that we agreed to play dumb, but. So I find it very interesting. I find it looking at this now with the benefit of hindsight, I'm kind of marveled how much is put into motion in the first hour and how much of it is as successful as it is.
Yeah, because you were right. There's like, sort of a Jason thing, sort of a Sam thing.
Well, we haven't even touched on the rat trees, which like...
Yeah. They're horrible. Horrible.
Was it Mac and
Denise?
Denise Rattray?
Yeah.
Rattray. Because you do well. Knowing what we know about Bill, what we come to find out about Bill, it actually is pretty plausible that he gets bamboozled by the Rattrays this easily. Sure. But knowing what we know about him at this point, I remember being like, how the hell did these two dunderheads?
I sort of assumed they kind of just like got him outside and he was just thinking it was going to be like one thing, and then they like surprise attacked him with the but you're right. When we learn more about Bill, you're like, no,
that checks.
I get it.
And again, Sookie coming on strong. A Sookie special. She shows up and handles the fuck out of the situation.
She does.
Especially when she hucks that
like a chain. Around Mac's neck.
I remember being like 17 and watching a movie late night on HBO one time. It was the movie Freeway with Reese Witherspoon.
That's a good one.
And there's a scene, spoilers for Freeway, I guess. But
movie's like 30 years
old. She gets one over on the bad guy. Yeah. She has a gun to him. And he's like, you don't want to do this. And he's talking her down. And you really believe that she's going to like fall for it. And then she's like, not on my watch, motherfucker. Bam! And blows his head off. And I remember just being gobsmacked. Like that I was like, the fact that she actually did it and didn't, I can't do it. Yeah. I was so blown away. Cool. And that is Sookie Stackhouse.
Yeah.
Like, as I recall through this entire season, she just handles the fuck out of so many situations to her detriment, because the episode does end.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of these situations do end up coming back to bite her in the ass, as this one does when the Rattrays get her alone at the end. And
she's just she's not afraid enough. I'm like, you need to be more scared than you are.
She's definitely not afraid enough, to the point where, like, even before he becomes, like, sort of a puppy dog, like, she backtalks Vampire Eric, like, constantly. And I'm like, he is so old. You like don't have any idea.
So we started, and I did want to get to it. We've got 11 more episodes too, but I was going to say, what did you want to touch more about the Sam stuff, or is that coming?
It'll come. We'll come.
Because given what we know, it's gross.
Yeah.
But he didn't. I mean,
still gross. He's like, I want you so bad.
He's thinking it, though. He's not saying it to her.
Yeah, but he knows she can hear him.
But you can't be that on top of...
I know.
Of your thoughts. And so it like... Because it's something that the show plays with, where it's like she has access to information that she shouldn't have. Sure. And when and how they act on it is very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I think that she gives them as much grace and flexibility as she's able to.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because she does. It's very funny when she freaks out on them and she's like, "What the two of you just shut up?" And they're just standing there staring at her.
Well, she varies like because of this thing that she has, she gets treated like a child a lot of the time because people think she's just like crazy, and so she gets treated like infantilized a lot, and she just is like, she hauls off and she's like, I'm a grown woman and I don't need your fucking nonsense. Like, leave me alone. And I like that about Sookie.
We do have plot-wise that Maudette Pickens was murdered, is dead.
Yeah.
And
Jason was with
the last one there, and they have footage of it because she'd just be filming people fucking her.
People are into that.
Yeah, but stay tuned for our Euphoria coverage.
Yeah, well, she also filmed herself getting fucked by a vampire, which, and now that she's dead, has begun an entire full-blown neurotic disorder in Jason's head.
It was percolating before.
Yeah.
But so they have arrested, or they have brought Jason in for questioning. And that's, I think, the only other immediate plot thing that we needed to.
The rat trays were trying to drain Bill because you can sell vampire blood on the black market. It's like a drug that will become important later.
So, okay. Well, I think we're going to watch the second episode and then we'll be back.
Bye.